Hello and welcome to the KFC SuperCoach NRL Round 17 Teams Podcast. You may have noticed I'm not Tom Sangster, I'm Rob Sutherland. Tom's on daddy daycare duties. Ian Maybanks is going to be joining us from Queensland. He's already been on the rum and coke. I'm on significant painkillers. My friends, this is going to be loose. How are you, Ian?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, pumped for Origin and SuperCoach. Yeah, it's good.
I see you're all dressed up. You've got your Queensland top, your Cowboys hat, your Liverpool scarf. I don't know quite how that fits, just because it's red.
No, it's good, mate. It's just supporting all the teams.
Excellent.
Just loving sport and life.
Well, as a couple of you will know, having watched it before, I'm a terrible host, so I'm going to do my best to fill it in. Send in your questions. I'll try to get them from Facebook. If I don't, we'll get to it on Thursday, because let's be honest, it's Origin tomorrow. None of this really matters, does it? I mean, someone's going to get injured. Someone's going to get suspended. We've got half the teams, like the Cowboys, have named all their players in reserves. I mean, do we know anything? Is there any point to this?
Well, there's some. We can talk some sort of strategies, I guess. I guess we're talking about getting into the end game now. So you probably burnt through a lot of trades. You might have 10, Rob?
You've got privileged information. What do you mean getting into the end game? I am in my end game. Look, before we came on air, and we always get in trouble, we use our good stuff, I said, every year I don't aim to win, I aim for credibility. At the moment, I have a modicum of credibility, and that's because I have traded my heart away. I've got 10 left after I make 2 this week. I'm looking at Moses out for SJ, and probably Buller out for Tino, which I know sounds silly, but I just got to respect the big man's form. How about you?
Yeah, I like that move. Tino's tempting. I think he's almost top of the props and probably second behind his teammate Fafita in the back row.
Yeah.
So he's probably a guy you want charging home. Titans don't have any buys, so if he can escape suspensions for forearms or anything else he might do through those Origin fixtures, he's going to be awesome. So, yeah, I like that one. And, yeah, I think Buller goes for me. I'm really keen to get Turbo in the last couple of weeks. He's looked really, really good. If he comes through Origin unscathed and backs up, I'll grab him as soon as he plays because his price will skyrocket the next time he runs out. So I'm keen to make sure I've got him locked in.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to getting Tino and then changing my mental aspect. Like every time he elbowed a bloke in the jaw, I've been, that's it, send him for weeks. Once I own him, oh, mate, I'm a big fan. Anyway,
that's a tackle bust, not broken jaws.
yeah. Well, you know, I just don't want him to get suspended. All right, let's have a quick look at the winners from the teams, and I promise I'll come back to the questions afterwards. Cody Walker, I think he's got the most points, or no, Gutho's overtaken him, hasn't he? Cody be top 3. He's back from a quad injury. He's got to be a good buy. Do you have him in your team?
Yeah, I shifted him in for Nico pre-Origin, and that's worked out pretty well. I think Cody's got great fixtures coming up, and if you don't have him for that round 19 bye, I think you'll be in trouble. He's playing the Dogs round 19. He could put on a ridiculous amount of points, judging what other halves have done against him in the last year.
Yeah, 100%. Big BE, I think the BE's in the 90s, high 90s. So, look, I was going to get him this week, but I'm going to gamble it. I'm going to wait 1 week and then get him the next. Who else have we got? I mean, you can get Buller, you can turn into Walker for 100K. Who would have thought that when you got Buller at the bargain price? Balanced Tavare, a Val Meninga, named to start in the centres for Brenko and his permanently injured calf, Brenko Lee. And then there's a cheapie, Braden McGrady. Do you know anything about him?
He is the nephew of Bulldogs legend Ewan McGrady. He's had a stack of tries in the Queensland Cup, 10 tries in 11 games. And even last year he had, I think, 19 tries or something in 16 games with the North Devils. He's been playing for Redcliffe this season. So he's a try scorer. He's almost 2 metres tall, so he's a big guy. So mate, big guy, tackle bus, lot to like, but let's see how he goes.
Almost 2 metres tall. I can't wait to hear, oh, he's tall. It's like Saab. Every time Saab plays, geez, he's tall. Or Sean Lane, geez, he's tall. Anyway, we got a new one. That'll be good. Marzu's back in the team as long as he doesn't miss the bus to Penrith. And we've got another big number. And Brendan Piakura looks like being a big winner with the injury to, help me out,
Kurt
Capewell. Done a quad out to round 20 or so.
Yeah, he's been struggling with a quad tendon injury for a while, just sort of making his way through the last few games. So with the Broncos have had the bye 16 and they have the bye again 19, so they're just going to rest him through, basically give him this month to get right for the run home. So a little window for Piakura. He's been pretty hyped up here, and he came with a good try against the Knights last week. So I don't know if long-term he'll have a position there, but yeah, he's definitely a guy to watch.
Doesn't help you in 19 though, so probably not a buy.
Yeah.
All right, so the losers, well, we've got Capewell. He's out. Then Joey Manu, well, if he stayed at fullback, he was a contender. If he went to 5'8", he was a maybe. Back at centre, he's definitely a no. Phil Rothfield, it was pushing hard for Tedesco to shift to 5'8" and keep Joey Manu at fullback. But I love Phil, but I never saw that happening.
No, I don't think that'll happen. I think that Teddy's locked in there long term. I think the way the Roosters are going, can you see Teddy getting a rest? Does Manu play at fullback again, or are we done with Joey there for the year? Can we move him?
I think barring injury, I think that's done. I don't think Teddy gets a rest. It's not the way they've ever done it with Teddy. He seems to be able to play, 23 games for the Roosters, 3 games for New South Wales, 6 tests for Australia, and keeps backing up. I know his form's been bad, or not as good as it has been in the past, but I don't think Teddy gets a rest, no.
Yeah, so I think maybe not this week because you probably need that number from Manu, but he's one that you could shift because he's pretty popular player, so you might go elsewhere in the future.
Yeah, look, what else have we got? Tom Trbojevic, I've got him as a loser. I know you've got him as a potential buy, but I just hate when they name players in the reserves or in the interchange, which the Cowboys have done with everyone, which has me very worried for my man Kyle Felt. But before we came on here, he said some nice things.
Oh, yeah, look, he's sort of that combo with Peter Hiku's coming back together. They've shown some good touches in recent weeks. And he is gunning for Matty Bowen's try-scoring record for the Cows. I would like Matty Bowen to hold that, but good luck to Kyle as he goes for it. I think he'll be there, mate.
Excellent. That's what I need to hear because I just need one more game. He's at 600 and I think he's at 630k, which I was not expecting when I bought him at 380, and he's got about another 20k to make, and then I can let him go. All right, should we get to some questions? Let me see. Andrew Dean started with, "You sound nervous." You'd be right, Andrew. This is not my go. I'm the sidekick. I am not the main guy. It's just not my comfort zone. So then he followed up with, "Should I buy Blore, who had a pretty good game last week, but is not playing this week? What do you reckon?"
I would wait till next week on him, but the last 2 weeks he's looked very strong. He's one of these guys we've had a lot of hype around him, but he's had injuries and he's strung 2 games together and looks great. So with Bateman moving into lock for the Tigers, there's a spot there on the edge, and I think he's still 300 and something K. It's a great price for a guy who looks like he's going to be very dynamic. And maybe not many people will look to move to a second Tigers back row. If you've already got Bateman, you probably don't want to over-Tigerfy your team. So he could be, I reckon he'll be a nice pod for you if you do it. But next week.
Yeah, look, I just can't have it. Blore is very dynamic, and he's always been dynamic, and he sort of flatters to deceive and has 1 good game, 2 good games, and then he goes quiet again. I just can't go there. Now, I'm trying to find who asked this because I've been asked it before in the blog today. It was Luke Easton. Schuster to Salmon, a good buy. I've got an opinion on that, but I'd like to hear yours first.
No.
That's my opinion too. I like it.
No, sorry. Salmon all year has just come off the bench to annoy us who've owned Hosking or prior to that Garner. He just comes on and does his 20 minutes and plugs a gap. And yeah, I don't think you can. If you had him last week and you got those points, good on you. But yeah, like he won't make much money for you if you're looking for a cash cow. It's probably better guys to aim for this week.
100%. And I mean, Schuster's he's had a 50 and a 40, but his first game was 106 against the Raiders. Look, I don't think this week against Melbourne, I think it's down at Amy, can correct me if I'm wrong, he has a huge game, but I'll take a starting 5/8 over a bloke who's going to come on and score 20 points and very quickly not make any money or lose money that he did make. Now, I'm not sure. I've completely lost my spot on the run sheet, so let's just jump into the teams and have a look. And, is there a guy here and there from each game that sort of jumps out at you? First game of the rounds, Friday night, Dragons Warriors. I couldn't care about this game until I brought in Sean Johnson. Now I think it's going to be a great game. It's SJ for me. It's the only one I care about. How about you?
I've still got Jackson Ford, so I'm hoping for a revenge game against his old club. So if you've sold him, you can probably expect him to have revenge on you as well. Put him down for a try, I reckon. I've got a funny feeling this Dragon season's going to fall in a heap with this Ben Hunt situation. If I had Johnson, I'd probably throw a VC his way. And if I had Chance, I'd probably throw him a VC. I reckon this might be the Manly jersey situation from last year where a team just falls in a heap through the back end. So, look, I don't think that I've got Jacob Little in my squad. I'd probably move him on soon. He's made me a stack of cash. But I don't think there's anybody I'd want at the Dragons. And Warriors are great, mate. Their run of fixtures through the back end. They have the bye in 21 or 22, easy to cover. So if you want to go for a Warriors player, yeah, SJ.
I was flirting with Zach Lomax, not in real life, although he is a bit of a stud. But he's 520k, and that's a good price for what Zach Lomax has done in the past. And look, I agree with you. This is probably the game where it all falls in a heap and the Dragons turn to poo. But even though I've bought Sean Johnson, even though I'm feeling positive, it is at Wollongong. You can get 60k an hour wins just ripping off the water there. And I've seen good playmakers go down to the Gong and put in bad games. I do have a mild fear that happens, but I think it's more like 90% sure that Sean Johnson scores 100 and the Warriors score 45.
Yeah, I'd be confident there.
I'm a master at talking myself into disaster. I make a trade that's a good trade and then I'll talk myself out of it. So next game is the Dolphins against the Eels, 3 p.m. Saturday at the sunny coast. Look, Clint Gutherson, you were saying you picked him up last week. You had to be happy with his second consecutive 130?
Yeah, awesome. I had some sort of hesitation because, missing your two halves, how well he'd go, but I just figured he's Gutho and he'll just be in the thick of everything and kicking goals. So I think he'll still be good when Moses comes back. The Dolphins, I think I saw a stat last week that the Dolphins have conceded the most SuperCoach points of any team, which bodes well for any of your para options. So I'll wheel them all out this week. I think the Dolphins look like they're getting some troops back. Marshall King's back at hooker. Sean O'Sullivan on the extended bench. So there's a couple guys back in there that should shore up their squad. You've still got Nikorima, mate?
I do. Thank you for bringing that up. I got bagged for it. And he's in tremendous form. I think he's had, 5 games, 6 games. He's only had one bad one, and that was at fullback. He's just seems to be sort of really zinging at 5'8". I bought him, as a gap filler, but I reckon I could almost hold him all the way to home. I'm pretty tempted.
That dual flexibility is nice. It'd be interesting to see where he lands because he's got that utility value. Does O'Sullivan come back and he drops into, anywhere, fullback, bench, hooker?
Yeah, I suppose. Look, as an owner,
too.
I'd prefer to see him stay at 5'8" because I think that's where he's best. I was pleasantly surprised with some of his stuff at fullback, but I just prefer him at 5'8" he's in the middle of everything. Speaking of in the middle, my man Jermaine Hopgood, you haven't got him. You know, what's going on, mastermind?
I let him go earlier, and a couple of weeks in a row I've made moves to him, but then I went to Gutho last week. I figured Gutho's the upside play, and it was. So 30 more points. So I'll probably get to Hopgood eventually just to shield myself against the reams of points he's pulling in. Might happen this week because I'm short on back rowers. Yeah.
One to watch, I suppose, speaking of back rowers, and be remiss not to name him, as Sean Lane is named in 22 for the second week in a row, if I remember correctly. You'd expect he might slide into the team this week.
Yeah, he's probably a chance of coming back in. There's a few big names on the bench there for the Eels. You've got Matto's. With Moses back, Matto goes back to the bench, so expect he'll command some minutes. And Joe O's on the bench there as well. He's back from his injury, so some big boppers there for Para. I don't think it'll impact Hopgood, but I wouldn't rush to get Matto, that's for sure.
No, Matto, I'm hoping. I kind of like he got about 45 playing at 5'8", and I'm looking at one last second rower to finish off my team, and Kian Kaloa-Matangi is probably the guy, though Matto is going to be at a really juicy price and could be tempting. Either one of those is a good pick-up before round 19, I think. Panthers, Knights.
I'll just say,
go ahead.
I'll just say on the Dolphins, Lemuelu back to the bench. It's a bit of a blow for anybody who's got him. He's been so good all year. Dual, second row, centre. Ray Stone at lock now. We'll see. Watch that. Well, I guess just watch it to the final teams. I feel like there's some moving parts there for Bennett, but if Lemuelu is going to come off the bench, that's a bit of a blow, and you might want to consider moving him.
That wouldn't be like Wayne at all, would it? To do ducks and greats and mess with us? Yeah. I'd expect that 100%. Look, one question. I'm going to do this one without notice, and before we get into the Panthers Knights, who do you have as the 4 best centre wings for the run home?
Well, just as we go into this game, Greg Marju. I think the thing to know with Marju is he's had 8 tries in 5 games at home, and they've got 6 of the last 9 games at home. So I reckon his try scoring in Newcastle, hard to stop. I think he'll storm home. As good as he's been all year, I think he'll even push on and continue being really good. So as long as he catches the bus.
Well, he's safe at home,
I think,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Garrick, I'm not sure on now. Garrick, if DC and Turbo are in there, I think so. Val Holmes probably. The Cowboys are finding some
Cowboys
form.
bias.
Yeah, well, look, he's had a good score the last game. And then I think the Sharks draw looks really good. Mulatalo, I think a lot of people brought him in last week. He's probably a guy who's just going to score a try game, whatever, on the run home. That sort of a mix. But there's so many great options in there, and it's the place to sort of throw a pot or two about, I reckon.
Kyle Felt, yeah. That's the one. And Osaka, you missed Osaka. I think Osaka's got to be in the noms there as well.
Yeah, Osaka's been really good. He does have, I think he's got the Broncos and the Panthers in the next 3 after this one. So I'm kind of hoping he might hit a bit of a wall there against 2 stronger defences and price comes down a bit. He's not a guy I've had either. I'm still an Osako non-believer.
Oh, well, all right, look, as a proud owner, I hope he proves you wrong. But look, there was an excellent segue with our man Marzu into the Panthers v the Knights. Panthers, Tyrone Peachy goes out. What else have we got? Moses Leota comes back. He's not really Supercoach relevant, but they've named all of their Origin players. The Knights, do they have any? Oh, yeah, they've got Tyson Frizzell and Kalen Ponga, who is not an Origin player, I know, but we were talking before we came on that if something happens to Reece Walsh, do you think Kalen Ponga goes into the Maroons for Origin 3?
I'm sure Billy Slater would make some inquiries. His form would demand it. So, yeah.
His form's been outrageous. And the beauty of him being at 5'8", there's a lot of people selling Jareen Buller this week, and I think they're moving Kalen Ponga up to fullback and bringing in Cody Walker. Yeah,
that works. It's good. Those sort of dual flex players can really make some interesting things happen for you.
Yeah, 100%. What's next? Saturday night game, Storm against the Sea Eagles. The Storm have named all of their Origin players. William Warbrick, 130 last week, so well done to those who held. Are you a happy Warbrick owner?
No, I let him go. Oh, geez. There's probably some of us who let the brick go and brought in Billy Smith a few weeks ago. Oh, how different that could have been. I'm sad to say I don't have the brick. I do have Jerome Hughes, who was feeding him, but yeah.
Well, you see, I was a Jerome Hughes non-believer. I'm going to need him to score a 50 this week, and I don't see it happening. The other Storm player, just because I've got a sort of strange love-hate relationship with him, is Nelson Asofa Solomona, who's starting on an edge. And if he was a regular starting edge second rower, I think he could be like David Fafita scoring. I think it could be just a blitzkrieg every week. But just the way the team's structured, it hasn't happened.
Yeah. Look, I don't know if he could punch out the minutes there, but he's good to play the occasional one. So he's interesting. That Manly edge from memory is one of the worst in the comp. So, yeah, I think Hughes, Warbrick, roll them out again if you've got them. And Nelson running at probably Schuster in front of him. That'll be a nice matchup. Test out Josh's defence.
100%. At the Sea Eagles, Hamolia Lokotau seems to be coming into a little bit of form. He's tempting, but I much prefer Kian Kaloamatangi for a bit more money. Is there anything at the Sea Eagles other than Tommy Turbo that catches your eye?
Not really. I think I'll look to move Schuster on pretty quickly now that we don't really need him as a buy number or whatever. DCE normally comes out after Origin and goes on a great run of form. And if Turbo's firing, DCE's firing. So just like if you're looking for a pod half back or something, just one to just sort of keep in mind, because I don't think many at all on Sherry Evans, and he was pretty awesome against the Dolphins last game out.
Sorry, I've got DCE in my Jerome Hughes list of never pick them because they always look like they're there and then they don't quite get it. That said, it was a couple of years ago he went on an awesome run, DCE, and I think it was Joe Nadav. That was one of his keys to victory, so got to respect that. Sunday game, it's an all-Queensland affair. Broncos against the Titans. At the Broncos, there's nothing I really love personally. I'm seeing a fair few questions around Katoni Staggs, but look, he's going to break your heart. And then at the Titans, all I can say is I just hope David Fifita backs up and plays big minutes. Tino backs up as well. And you've got some Titans mail, I believe.
But
I'm not overselling.
Mail, just that I've got reasons to like Titans players. They are completely clear of buys. They're the first team clear. Mm-hmm. So I reckon they're nice squad stuffers. They're going to play every game to the run home from here. As you hit other dramas along the way with other buy teams, injuries, whatever. So just consider how a guy like AJ Brimson could slot in there. I can go Schuster straight to Brimson. They play 6 of the last 9 games on the Gold Coast, and they're an attacking team. They love to throw it around. So I don't mind Brimson as a pod play. And also Phil Sami's been in great form, and Brian Kelly. They're both averaging 59. So if you, like we were talking before about pod centres, if you just want to just, mix it up a little bit, you could go there to a team that's got a lot of home fixtures that's going to probably throw it around and go all right. I think Brimson, when he's played the full 80, he averages 67.8, which puts him as a top 5'8". So it's not Cody Walker, Munster. It's probably on par, I think, with about where Ponga is so far. So for a bargain price, he's only 520K. You could go there, and it's something that I've been looking at.
Philip Sami's the one that I've been looking at, I've got to say. I always have something else come up before I can then pull the trigger and get him in. But geez, he's gone pretty well. Brian Kelly I can't do because he's too scary, right? Like at least once a game, possibly twice, he will come out of a tackle and be waving to the sideline. He's done, he's cooked. They come out, they give him a little bit of a magic spray. He pulls himself together manfully and gets on with the game. But I just don't have the heart rate for it.
I think he's good because he's next to Fafita. Is that Fafita attracts so much traffic that there's space for him to work with on the outside. So if you're looking to do a little stack in your team with Titans and a sort of Fafita Kelly on that side, the points are going to all sort of come in one hit. So that's something to consider. I think I don't have Fafita, so I'm hoping he comes out for Justin Holbrook. Maybe just give him 5 minutes this week.
Thanks for thinking of the rest of us. Look, that's not the way I play the game. I'm always hoping everyone else goes well. I'm not selfish like that, but I understand you, man.
Be available to more SuperCoach players. It's so expensive.
Oh, you're a man for the people. I get that. All right.
Yes, of course.
Rabbitohs Cows is Sunday 4:00. It's in Sydney. No Latrell, which is a bit of a bummer because I was hoping Latrell would play and lose value. Oh, I just did what you did with Fafita. Cody's at 800K, super attractive. Campbell Graham, not very attractive man, but very attractive in SuperCoach. AJ on the wing. I could see a case for having at least 3 Rabbitohs backs, possibly 4. It's you try not to load up on teams, but geez, they're a tempting team.
Yeah, I think we're at the point of the year where we know who the form teams are and who aren't. So saying earlier, Zach Lomax, hell no, they're the bottom team. Who's at the top? Panthers, Bunnies. These are the guys you want to go after. So, AJ's been great. Campbell Graham's been great. Isaiah Tass's form, he's been racking up huge numbers as well. So this is a time of the year where you can load up on the teams that are good and just ride them to glory.
Speaking of Rabbitohs, if you had Latrell, would you be holding him now? He doesn't play this week. You think maybe he comes back and he's fit? You'd be hoping for 19, but if he's fit, do the Blues pick him? And does he get through training for once at the Blues and actually play for them? I mean, it's a risk, right?
Yeah, I think if you had him, surely you would have moved him. If you've held him this long, maybe you're just happy doing other things. But there's so many good fullback options. He doesn't play. He likely doesn't play 19. He likely doesn't play 20. 20, they've definitely got to buy, and they've got to buy in 25 as well. So, he's a tricky one to just hold on to. Maybe it depends where you're positioned in your league or your rank or whatever you're chasing.
Yeah, look, I think if I was a head-to-head player, I'd hold him because he can win you a head-to-head match. But if I was an overall player, I think I'd be moving on by now. And
yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit like the SJ Mitch Moses situation, that Mitch Moses at best plays, I think, 9 games from here to home. It might be 8, depending on how things work out. SJ should play 10. Now, that very quickly makes up the difference with, I know Moses is averaging 100 and Sean Johnson 90-odd or 80-odd in the past 5 games, but add 2 more games and you've made up the difference. So you still want to have a look at who's got games played. Like you said with the Titans, they should play every game. That makes someone who's averaging 55 or 65 more attractive than someone who's averaging 70 and is going to miss 2.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. With a little bit of, what else have we got? Cowboys. Well, there's only really one. No, I'll stop. I'll stop going on about my man Kyle. Jason Tomalola, he's the one that jumps out. I mean, he had a great game on his way back. after a long sort of injury layoff. But it's too risky for me to jump in. How about you?
That went to Golden Point as well, so there was a bit of extended minutes in it for him to, he comes into his own there where he's just charging through the guts, getting the meters to set up for those field goal attempts. So I think he was really strong, but I think what he did at the start of the year is more indicative of what you'll get, which is, 50. I think that was his first line break of the season. So I think, you're looking for it's an okay price for a guy who'll give you 50s, but maybe this time of year you're looking for more than that.
I agree. This time of year, you want sort of more upside. The upside guy at the Cowboys is Scotty Drinkwater. Threw him out as a potential pod last week, and he delivered. The price is getting right out there, though.
Yeah, if you picked him up a few weeks ago into this sort of Cows Origin run, you're just loving it. But I think now he's it's probably a bit too much for a guy who can throw up a reasonably low score. He's not like a massive base player, so you
can certainly have a run of 30s and 40s with Drinkwater. All right, let's go to the last game. I should go to questions, but I'm not having any luck. It's I'm not a tremendous tech guy, I have to admit. My phone, I'll have to get the kids to work it out later. Roosters, Raiders, last game. As a Roosters fan, I hate this game. I hate playing against the Raiders. They always go well against us for some reason. Their middle troubles us. It's just something about them. Bloody green bastards. So that's enough about me. Daniel Tupu, I think, is a really good price. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but I think if you're looking for a bargain outside back who's got, great history, he's not bad. Jake Turpin, I love you. Outside of that, no one really. I would say at the Raiders, interesting bench with only 2 middle forwards. I think that suggests that Corey Horsburgh is going to play big minutes in the middle, make another 50 tackles.
Yeah, I think so. I think, though Nick Kotrick's name there, consider he's been coming off the bench and playing through the forwards there. It's kind of a sort of, I don't know whether it's going to be a permanent thing or it's just a Corey Oates sort of a season thing or what. But, I think the horse should be good. Hopefully it means good things for Joey Tapine as well, who's the other highly owned Raider. Josh Papali'i's been really finding some form.
Am I meant to be taking this personally with your refusal to mention the Roosters? There's just no one you like there, is there? No, it's fine. It's fine. No, let's just finish. Let's finish the podcast in a huff. All right, I'm just going to. That's it. No, go on.
Tedesco. If you've got Tedesco, this Raiders team has leaked some points. You'd be tempted to give Teddy a captain in the last game of the round.
I can't captain 6 p.m. on a Sunday. I'll be useless all weekend. The kids, I'll be annoying enough as it is. I've got to get the captaincy out of the way earlier.
I think it's a good matchup for him. And depending how it goes, if Origin does not go well for Teddy, as we've seen these big game players, when they get hurt, they come out and fire. So if the Blues lose and expect Tedesco to come out and tear the Raiders apart.
Well, look,
I think. Sorry,
go ahead, mate.
I think, Tupou's at a good price. I couldn't go there. I started the season with him as my one of my super pods, and then he scored 1 against the Dolphins and dropped 2 over the line, and it could have been a whole different beautiful season for me and Daniel, but it wasn't to be. I don't think. I think there's guys in that Roosters team, like Angus, that if they ever go back to playing their big minutes, they're going to be appealing. But it's not happening, is it?
No. And on that sad note, I should probably call an end to the show. It's really sad to end on a depressing note. So let's try for an Origin spiel. What's your take on Origin? Who do you think's going to win?
I think Queensland will probably pull something out in the last 10 minutes and win again. I think the Blues really played pretty well through the middle of the park and just didn't have the finishing touches last time. I don't know if Moses improves that, but he does give you the big kick out of trouble. I don't know what to make of it. I just think Queensland's got a few sort of more X-factor players who are going to come up with that match-winning play. So I'll back Queensland to scramble and hold into it and then come up with something magic at the end.
Can I be honest? You were never going to pick anything other than Queensland, were you?
No. I think it'll be pretty close. It was real.
Thanks for throwing us a bone. Us down south the bone there, something. Look, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to all of you for joining us. And I promise Tom will be back, and you can have a host with the most. And we'll be back on Thursday for Origin Wash-Up. And what do we do then? I can't remember what the show's called, but we'll do the Thursday show.